Oh, hey, how's it going, YouTube? Jaime Castro Digital Images. You're probably wondering what you're looking at right now. Well, this is the inside of an acoustic guitar that I got from a pawn shop for about, I think it's about 10 bucks, something like that. So what I'm going to be doing with this is I'm going to photograph the inside and see what kind of abstract photography we can come up with. So let me show you what we're going to do. Out of tune. All right, so as you can see, I got a thrift store guitar here, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my camera here, and what I've done is, I'll kind of show you because I'm on the ground here. I kind of carved out a little bit of a hole, and I kind of just took away some of the hardware here because it might be reflective, might get in the way. I have to make also this a little bit larger so I can get my lens in there. So, as I said, I know it's sacrilege to destroy a guitar, but it's $10, and I'm doing this for art. So let me go through the setup, and we can get started here. Right. So here's the thrift store guitar. So what I've done here is, I told you I made this hole bigger, so it kind of damaged the back side of it. So what I'm doing is I put a towel here, kind of a dark towel, to cover this light source, and then I took the electronics hardware here, the little pickup. Electronic pickup, so there's a hole on the side here. You can probably see it in the back there from this angle. So what I'm doing, I'm just covering that up with like just a dark source. I mean, you can use pretty much anything as long as it's dark, so we don't have any light spillage. And then what I'll probably do to fill up that gap in there, and I'll fill that up in post. So let's see if we can, if not, I'll probably use the GoPro in there. But yeah, you can kind of see the angle I'm kind of going for. See if I can focus. So it's like a big cathedral type of thing. And what I'm probably going to do, you see this little the light source here where I'm putting my finger? I'm probably going to see if I can get like a pen light or something that just comes down in there. I don't think I probably will need to. I think that the long exposure is going to get what I want. But this should be pretty interesting to see what we get. I'm undecided if I want to use props at this time, but let's get started. We're in Lightroom here, and I'm going to start out completely fresh, no presets, nothing on this one. So I kind of already made 5 selections here. So let's just go. These are the raw images. So as you can see, this one came out pretty good because of it's got the good light in there. This one a little bit darker. I think I was kind of messing with some settings. This one turned out pretty well. And here we go with this side here. So I think I'm leaning towards this one. So let's go ahead and hit develop, and we'll see what we can find here. I probably will shift my camera around so you can see the movements here. So I kind of like, the first thing I like to do is I like to kind of crop this. Try to get a little bit, and I'm already seeing something kind of cool here. So here, let's do this here. Let's do a traditional where I am going to rotate clockwise here, and that looks really cool. We're seeing it from this angle here. So now I'm going to go back to crop. See if I can just completely get rid of that hole there. And look at that. That looks kind of cool there. So here I'm going to warm it up a little bit. All right, now we're gonna A little bit of contrast to get some of the details out. I don't want to lose too much of that light, so maybe, yeah, there we go. A little bit of the exposure. Shadows, I like bringing the shadows because this will bring the details out in this area here. Not by much. Clarity is definitely something I always like because this really brings out the details and the wood grain and everything. As you can see, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to mess with the light and dark, so try to get that balance there. Let's lower that highlight there. There we go. I think that saturation was fine there. So I'm probably going to do something in Photoshop with this. So one thing that a lot of people don't realize is these faders, I usually will use saturation a lot. And what I try to do is I try to really enhance certain colors. So in this case, because it's almost monochromatic, just one color, it's not going to make too much of a difference. So in this case, I'm going to switch to luminance, and maybe I can reduce that highlight a little bit. There we go. Really look at these channels, because this is what makes or break your image, in my opinion. There's a lot of options you can go in that direction there. So I always give it a little bit of a pre-sharpen. I always do a little bit of noise reduction just to kind of smooth out any little grain that might have come in there. Always click this one just in case there's any abrasions from your camera. What I always like to do is my style is I always like to give it a little bit of vignette on there. And then what I'm going to do is I am going to bump the shadows a little bit more. So good, that's a good preliminary selection there. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to move myself. I'm going to go ahead and export this. Into there, and I'll go ahead and make it, yeah, PSD file's fine. I'm going to export it here. Alright, now I'm going to switch to Photoshop. Alright, here's our guitar here. So one of the filters that I always like to use, I use the Nick Collection a lot. I've been using them ever since they were owned by Google and they were free when I was first kind of starting out. And I've kind of stuck with them because, in my opinion, they have some really good filters for the price they are. I think right now you can get the entire package for like $60, $70, which is, it was crazy. I mean, when Google owned them, they were free, but that got discontinued. But still, these are probably some of the best filters out there for the price. Ooh, that's kind of cool. So here, this is the Color Efex Pro filter. So here, this gives me a whole bunch of different options that I'm just kind of going through. Seeing that one's really cool, the dark contrast. All right, I'll have to remember that one. And like I said, you can. There's so many different directions you can go with this. I always tend to lean towards the dramatic, so that's why I kind of like that dark contrast a little bit. The black and white's always good, but in this case, I definitely want that wood feel. Ooh, that's interesting. It's very steampunkish. I actually kind of like that. I haven't used Solaration yet. That's very steampunkish. Huh, cool. I think I might go with this one. Let's see what other options they have. So this gives it a little bit like an inverse effect. So the reason I like this kind of gives it a little bit of a copper sheen that I did not expect on there. So try to find where I'm not losing too much of the, and it kind of looks like a cavern already. Yeah, let's go with this one. And what's cool about the nickel, it already creates it in a layer, so you can turn it on and off. So I'm gonna go ahead and just bounce this down here. So I really do like that. So all right, so let's try the other one that I've been using a lot. All right, I'm gonna demonstrate this Topaz Impressions. So Topaz is another set of filters that I use quite a bit. This is probably one of my favorites. So if you ever want that painterly look, this gives it to you in very, very quick fashion. And this is such a powerful program. I might do a complete video on my review of this one and demonstrate, because this is just, there's so much stuff you can do, especially for the abstract stuff that I do. This was a game changer for me when I first discovered it a couple years ago. So what this program does is you can pretty much change any photograph or any image into a classic painter. So any classic painting. So let me move myself here. So here I can give this, so it looks like a pencil haze type of look. And again, you can mess with all these settings. That's what makes it so powerful. So in this case, and this is just the pencil settings, guys, which, I mean, that's just almost amazing in itself there. So one of the ones that I do like is the ancient ones. So this really gives it a little, very much of a brush feel. So like Cave Dweller 2, it looks like almost a charcoal painting. In this case, I don't think that's going to work too much. So one of my favorites that I use a lot is the Da Vinci. So this gives it sort of like a Da Vinci sketch. So already, I'm already seeing. So what I will tend to do here. So I'm going to cancel out of this real quick. And I definitely want to look at that. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to copy this image, and then I'm going to run that filter. All right. See how cool that looks? And here now, you can actually mess with the opacity. Look at that. It's already... And then the other thing I like to always check is to see if there's any other just extreme... Oh, look at that. But I think we got a winner there. So just from that, yeah, I like that a lot. So I'm going to flatten this down. I'm going to save. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to re-import it back into Lightroom for some final editing. So let me move myself over here. Now, like I said, the name of the game for me is abstract, so you really can't tell, but I'm already liking exactly how this is really looking. It looks very steampunkish, and I'm a big fan of steampunk. So now what I'm doing is I'm kind of just seeing how I can balance this color a little bit and really tone down. Let's see, look at that. That's good. And here what I'm just trying to accentuate is, there we go, see? Good, looking for that nice play on light. Now, I'm taking a look at my histogram. You see how this is almost at the top, but it's not quite there. So it's very much on the dark side. So this makes sense to me because I don't have a lot of mids. It's really highlight. But what I want to try to do is really cut that highlight down a little bit. So what I'm trying to do is get it right where it's not too overwhelming. So the whites I'm going to play a little bit. So I think I found that nice little histogram. Now some people will try to get it here, but I don't like that little overburden of a highlight. So I don't want to lose too much of my darks. There we go. That's good. A lot of this is just, you're kind of just playing and see what it can come out. See, now if I increase the clarity, almost it looks more like a sketch. So, and I do like that, but I'm trying to get a little more subtlety. Where it's good. There we go. That's good. See, the vibrance will, it just brings out a little bit red in here. I don't want to go too yellow. There we go. So let me see if I can get a little red out of this thing. There we go. See? Let's try on the saturation side. There we go. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get that color palette of red, orange, and yellow. And I think I got a little bit of the, it's not true red, but it's more burgundy, but it's still, it's definitely, especially in this area, it's really standing out here. And I'm really trying to make this balance. So if I go green, I bet you I could probably pop out a little green, but I don't want that. Now we're going to sharpen one more time. Look at that, perfect. This is where that small aperture really increased the detail of this image. A little noise reduction just to kind of balance everything out. See, another little signature vignette. The dehaze, this should reduce a little bit of the highlights. Look at that, perfect. So one final check that I always like to do, I already like this a lot, is I like to rotate this and just see the different angles. So that's actually pretty cool as well too, but I think I'm still stuck on the original. Yeah, let's stick with what we had before. So one final thing that I always like is I'm going to be doing a video on the golden rule. So this is the rule of thirds. I always kind of pay attention to this. So if you kind of see where the dividing lines are, I have one of my leading lines going straight down. I have another one that's kind of going in here. So now, you see how everything's kind of divided into those thirds, so it's very well balanced. I mean, I can even probably accentuate it a little bit more here, but I definitely like that longer angle. So I'm trying to hit that little ramp right here. So I think if I just cropped it a little bit on the side there, it should make the balance a lot better. And right now, you and I know that's a guitar, but I mean, for someone seeing this for the first time, they'll have to kind of take a look at this a little bit. But I like that. I think I'm going to call that one done. Well, as you can see, and if you hear snoring, that's my dog, by the way. As you can see, just from the inside of a guitar, we were able to create this kind of unique piece that's very like steampunkish, but it's also like a pathway where you really can't tell what it is unless you really study it. And in fine art, if you have someone staring at your piece for 30 seconds trying to figure it out, I think you've achieved your goal, because you're captivating that audience there. So I'm going to call this one done. I really like the way the steampunkish app. I was not expecting that with that solarization. I'll probably do a video just on that impressions, but the impressions package from Topaz is very powerful. So I'll definitely do some more pieces using that Topaz Impressions software. And as you can see, it took us maybe less than 10 minutes to develop this piece. So I hope you like this piece. It's pretty unique, I'm going to say. I would not have pictured this for the inside of a guitar. So I'll definitely be doing more projects like this, so stay tuned. Thank you.